I finally got my very own bottle of 303 Graphene Nano Spray Coating, which has been very sought after because it sold out within something like 24 hours when it first came out. And tons of you guys have been asking about this product, which claims to go beyond traditional ceramics. Now, reading this bottle, I'm really expecting quite a lot. It says it's going to offer a year plus of protection. It claims to have a very high contact angle, which is that cohesion where the molecules, the water molecules, bead really well and make that pretty little bead. And also it claims to enhance gloss. It says it will also work on all surfaces and it'll work in direct sunlight. So that's kind of everything in a spray product, which would be very impressive if it really works. And maybe it'll give things like Turtle Wax Seal and Shine a run for its money. So let's find out what this one is all about. We're going to do our usual array of tests. Let's get started. The very first thing we're going to do today is our ease of application testing. Now this test is pass-fail, where I give a point if the product is easy to apply. Now you might see this hood and wonder what the deal is. I purchased this at a junkyard about a year, maybe a year and change ago, and I use it to do my wax tests. Now if you want to learn more about the history of the hood, I'm going to link a video right up here so that you could see where it came from and kind of the shape it was in when I first got it. And the reason the tape is there is to give us a contrast where we could see the quality of the paint with the wax applied, or in this case spray coating, and the base paint quality. Before beginning, I wanted to mention health and safety. I know it's not the funnest topic. It tells you to use nitrile gloves and not to spray it in the mouth, on the skin, or eyes. And it says it could be fatal if inhaled. Now, it does also say not to use it in enclosed areas. So let's do the application. We're gonna give this thing a nice good shake. I'll spray a little right on here. Now it does say that paint correction is good but not required, and it suggests going in a kind of a crisscross pattern. And now let's go in the other direction to complete our hash. So now what we're gonna do is wait for this to haze white. All right, to me that looks pretty hazed over. Let's go ahead and wipe up. Maybe I used a little much. The wiping up is not super easy, but it's not bad. The color does seem pretty deep right as I do this. Now guys, I have to say this was easy to use, especially for a ceramic product. Almost as easy as something like Turtle Wax Seal and Shine, maybe just a little bit stickier. So far I'm not feeling a lot of slickness, but we'll let it cure. Speaking of curing, I always give 24 hours for a cure period. However, this product says it is good to go right away. Before we move on, I want to remind you that I have links down below in the description to the products and some of the tools used to make my videos. They are Amazon affiliate links, and I make a little bit of a commission whenever you click through and buy anything on Amazon. It does help support the channel. Now, there is also a link to my website below in the description, and I have a table there that I've been populating with all our prior results. I'll continue populating that table, so you should bookmark that page so you can review the results we're getting over time and see how products stack up. Now guys, this is my gloss testing station, and we use this panel here to determine if the gloss level is going up or down, having applied our Graphene Nano Spray Coating. Now we've applied it to this side here and it is cured for 24 hours. And then this side is gonna act as our control today because we don't have another product to test. The way the scoring here works is that this panel is 94 gloss units on its own with nothing on it. And then we will use this gloss meter to measure how many gloss units we get having applied the coating. When we do our measurements, we will average 5 points and we will determine if the gloss has gone up or down, and then we will add or subtract that many points. Some people do ask why I use this instead of the test hood, like for our other tests. And what I'm gonna do is link a video up here. It's one of my prior videos where I've explained why I do this, and I show you what happens if you do it the other way. The very first step is to turn our gloss meter on and to run the calibration program just to make sure that we're calibrated. We're using 20 degrees, and we should see about 104 here. So what I can do now is show you guys the gloss reading on this side. And you can see this side is right around 93.9, 94 gloss units. So let's take our very first gloss reading, and that's gonna be about 89.1. Move it over here. And here we're seeing about 87.8. about 89.4 in the mill. Looks like 88.9. Looks like about maybe 90.7 over here. We're gonna take our total number, we're gonna divide it by 5 to average it, and our average score is 89.18. So we're gonna subtract 94, and that means we will take off 4.8 points from the Graphene Nano Spray Coating. Now guys, keep in mind, gloss is not everything. The thickness, the candy coat look, and the other characteristics definitely affect how you perceive the quality of the product. What I'm gonna do now is not really test I score, it is more just for my own education and to see if isopropyl alcohol, which is very commonly used to remove waxes, is gonna be able to remove this coating. So what we're gonna do is spray some on. And what we could see here is the isopropyl alcohol beading, much like water. So right now we could see that the product is not dissolved, it is letting the isopropyl alcohol bead. Now iso is a non-polar solvent because it has a non-polar end, which allows it to dissolve things like waxes. So we'll spray some more on. And what we're looking is to see if the beading has gone away. There's still a little bit of beading, so I would say it definitely removes it, and it just didn't completely do it in one shot. So we can see now that the splotches are much bigger. It's almost like when your wax starts to fail on a car. And the thing with isopropyl alcohol is that it will never, on its own, really bead like water. So there we go. No more beading at all. And then just to show you that there's no tricks or funny business, we could see 94.1 right there. The 303 Graphene Nano Spray Coating has had a chance to cure. Starting with slickness, it is another pass-fail score just like ease of application. And what I do is I kind of feel and touch the surface, and then I compare it to the control, and I try to tell if it's slicker than the control. And also, I've applied tons of these products in the past. And in this case, I can tell you that this is very marginally slick. It is literally just like a hair slicker than this control. I can almost not tell the difference. Like, it's just so marginal. So I have to give it a fail at 0 points for slickness. The only redeeming part is at least it's not grabby. I have had products that fail that are actually worse than the bare paint after a polish. So now let's move on to my visual appeal scoring, which is also pass-fail. In this case, what I'm looking for is kind of the depth, character, and quality of the paint after the 303 Graphene Nano Coating has been applied. So we really want to see kind of a pop and depth and shine. And also, you can see here I've placed this cloth that I use for wiping lenses, and it is right on the seam where the tape was. So at the very left edge is where the product, the graphene, begins, and on the right of that ledge is the bare paint. I don't know if this will show up well in the camera, but there's a line where the product and the control starts that shows you that there is added depth. It has kind of darkened the side with the 303 graphene, and it's given it a little more depth and pop. I actually quite like that. But it is not as dramatic as, for example, the Wolfgang from our last video and some of the other products we've tested. So ultimately, my take on this product for visual appeal is that it is pretty, but just not the prettiest thing in the world. So guys, before we move on to the next test, I wanted to ask you to please subscribe, like, and leave me a nice comment if you enjoyed the video so far. All of that means a lot to me. I really love talking to all of you guys. It really feels like we're building a community together. It is time to do our durability testing. And here we've moved outside and we're gonna be using my pressure washer and the same Adams shampoo that I've used in every single test. We found it to be pH neutral and kind of the most mild out of the Adams series of shampoos. If you're curious about that, I'm gonna link a video right up here in your top corner. The way the scoring for this test works is that I will wash that top left affected area where we have the Graphene Nano Spray Coating until it no longer beads water correctly. And we'll give a point for every wash. So for instance, if it fails at 10 washes, we will give it 10 points. Being that this claims at least a year of protection, I'd love to see at least 12 washes out of it. But first, let's see just how hydrophobic it is. I was expecting more based on what they were saying, you know, this crazy contact angle and everything. You know, you can see that this is a perfectly polished panel. It just got polished. So it's slightly hydrophobic on its own. And then let's look at the product again. I would say that's just marginally better than freshly polished paint with nothing applied to it. But maybe it'll just stay this way and it'll be super durable. Typically one wash on a freshly polished panel and it won't bead water at all anymore. We're gonna connect our shampoo. I'm gonna make sure I've dialed in the exact same settings I always use. We're gonna go ahead and spray my pad. And then what we do here is kind of in a very systematic pattern, give this thing a wash. And we'll wash this side too, just to break down the freshly polished surface. So what we're gonna do now is a rinse. So guys, there we go, we've done one rinse. Now let's compare the control. You could see what I meant about how just one wash really ruins the surface if there's nothing on it protecting it. Now let's look at the product. See, now you see that difference. I'm gonna keep doing washes and I will pause and tell you guys when I'm seeing major changes in the product. We're about to do the 12th wash. Let's see if it survives. Now let's go ahead and blast it and see what the performance is like. So guys, definitely plausible. I think 12 washes is still there. So I'm gonna continue washing and I'll show you guys where it finally starts to die. I'm really curious to see how far it'll go. All right, let's compare kind of around the tape on both sides. So, yeah, I mean, you can see there's large dead spots. Let's shoot kind of the middle here. What we're seeing now is there's little pockets of wax that kind of still make it perform a little better than the control side. So the question really is, would you keep this on your car in the state that it's in? That's when we determine it's dead. It doesn't have to be one-to-one just as bad as the control. So I could tell you if I was washing my car and it was just sheeting like that, I would be redoing it. So I think 27 is a fair number for this product. I would say dead at 27. So to wrap up this video about the 303 Graphene Nano Spray Coating, I want to talk about the things I liked. I really liked the durability. It was really impressive. That many washes for that price point, really, really good stuff. The other thing that I liked was the visual appeal. You know, even though it lost a little in gloss, it really made up for it in the depth and kind of character that you saw visually when looking at the paint. It wasn't the deepest and prettiest thing. There are definitely prettier products, but given the durability, I think it was really good looking. Now, the other thing that I really liked was that it was easy to apply. It really, you know, other than having a bit of that petroleum distillate smell, the application was really easy. And what I didn't like was the lack of slickness. The slickness just really let the product down. So that is something that I think they should address and figure out why it's just not slick. You know, I don't think I'm being picky. It was one of the least slick products I've tested in probably the last 10 tests I've done. The other thing is they kind of promised and hyped up that it was going to be really hydrophobic. And while the product definitely lasted and provided enough hydrophobicity, I was expecting more. Like, you guys kind of saw that, especially in the very first take, where you could see that it wasn't just even that much more hydrophobic than freshly buffed paint. But this is definitely a strong contender from a durability perspective, and I think it's not bad to look at either. I would think it's worth checking out. So, as usual, guys, please remember to subscribe, like, and leave me a nice comment.